But do y'all want to bet that the resilient Jenkins are getting ready to relocate again? So obviously Stephanie has been super paranoid. She said that over 4,000 pictures and videos were deleted from her iCloud. Her whole iCloud was hacked and yada, yada, yada. And let's say that she did get hacked or whatever. Why is she so calm about it? And why is she still continuing to post things? And it's like, I just don't understand. How are you so paranoid, but at the same time you're breaking court orders and you're talking about Deshaun, you're posting Deshaun. Like, you have zero respect for Deshaun or his mother or the courts, period. Now, a lot of people are saying that they are getting ready to relocate. And I think it has to do with the whole situation with Deshaun and Desiree. Like, they real life do not like the fact that they have zero control over this now, and that it's actually like something is being done. And I just feel like they're going to try and make it so much harder for Deshaun to see his mom, but we shall see.
Yes, the resilient Jenkins are on their way right now to Michigan with a U-Haul and all their kids to move in with me. Okay, everybody knows that I am Drew Jenkins' new baby mama. I have been trying to contact both of them. Since I told Drew that I was expecting, he decided to block me on every single platform. So I made a TikTok a few weeks ago asking Stephanie to reach out to me, okay? And she has decided that we are all going to be one big family. My husband has invited them in. We have a 7-bedroom, 3-bath trailer. All of their kids will have their own room. My kids are willing to sleep out in the living room. So all of their kids are going to have their own room. We're going to be one big happy family. They're going to go to church with us. They're going to Disneyland with us. Okay? So everybody making these TikToks saying that they're getting their kids taken. No, they're not. They are going to be safe. They are coming to Michigan. Okay?
Stephanie Jenkins is back at it, saying one thing to the public while doing the complete opposite behind the scenes. This time, she's making a big show about apartment hunting, acting like this was the plan all along. According to her, the move is all about creating a better environment for the kids, giving them more room, and helping them grow emotionally. But let's rewind. Just a few short weeks ago, she confidently told her followers that apartments weren't even an option. She was crystal clear. The motel setup was fine for now, and they were holding out for a forever home. So what's with the sudden shift? Let's be real. Stephanie isn't making this move for the sake of her kids. She's doing it because court is breathing down her neck. Drew is under pressure, and this apartment storyline is just part of a bigger effort to look like responsible parents. But there's a big difference between looking the part and actually doing the work. Every new explanation she rolls out feels like it was crafted by a PR team. Strategic, rehearsed, and painfully obvious. The more she talks, the clearer it becomes. This is just image rehab. In one of her recent updates, Stephanie tried to clean it all up by revisiting their so-called original plan. She said the motel was meant to be a temporary setup, just for the summer. The goal: keep the kids outside as much as possible to avoid the stress of living in such a small space, while she and Drew worked on saving for a forever home. Something stable, something that would finally stick. So, are we watching a parenting pivot or a courtroom cover-up? Stick around, hit that like button, make sure you're subscribed, and turn on notifications, because we're breaking down this entire situation, and you don't want to miss what's coming next.
Let's catch up a little bit on housing plans. At first, we thought we could stick it through here and then make lots of summer plans, maybe just not be in the motel room as often, have the kids out as often as possible, and then really hunker down with our savings and invest in we are very in tune with our kids. One thing I'm noticing is as our two oldest approach closer to their preteen years, so we've been looking into some apartments and or houses that have 3 to 4 bedrooms, 1.5 to 2 bathrooms, different housing options. Work towards a manufactured home is probably a little bit more reasonable than tiny home. But like I've mentioned before, we have this mindset of taking care of the immediate need while we work on the long-term solution. So what that looks like for us now is making sure that our kids have a little more comfortability in their current living situation while we work towards the goals of building that forever home opportunity with our plot of land and manufactured home.
At first glance, the idea might seem like it had some logic behind it. Let the kids burn off energy outside during the summer, give them a sense of space, and meanwhile claim that staying in a motel was the smarter financial choice. But once you dig beneath the surface, it starts to fall apart. There was no solid budget, no step-by-step plan, and definitely no timeline in place. Just a handful of vague hopes wrapped in excuses for the public to swallow. That's not a thoughtful strategy. It's disorder dressed up as planning. And inside that cramped motel room, things weren't just uncomfortable. They were downright concerning. Picture this. 7 people all crammed into one small space. No partitions, no quiet corners, zero privacy. That one room had to serve every purpose imaginable. Sleeping, cooking, changing diapers, doing hair, filming TikToks. You name it, it happened in there. At one point, Stephanie was frying catfish in the same stale air her kids were lying in. That's not multitasking, that's a respiratory hazard with a side of TikTok.
All of the new theories about the Brazilian Jenkins are unfortunately making a lot of sense. You supposedly got hacked and you lost all of your data, but coincidentally, it was only really until you started dating Drew. There have been rumors from people who grew up with you stating that you may have helped your current husband with the things that he did. Your oldest daughter was beginning to be a victim before CPS stepped in and basically said, we're going to take your kids if you don't leave. They stopped allowing Stephanie's mother to be with the kids at all unless they were also present, which to me screams, what do you not want them to say? They won't let them go on field trips. They won't let them go to summer camp. They won't let them go really anywhere. They missed like 60 days of school this year. They don't have them in therapy when they probably should be. And all of that screams they don't want them talking to trusted adults. And I'm sorry, but all of these coupled together, the fact that you isolate those kids, they never have friends over. They don't go to any friends' houses, and she moved them in with King after like 1 month. Given your past, I feel like you should have been a little bit more aware of the, possibilities. I don't know, man.
If my dad was deep frying catfish in my bedroom, I would call the police. Like, first of all, why do you have a deep fryer in your motel room? Is that allowed? I feel like deep fryers are dangerous. No? I don't have a deep fryer in my house. I look like I should, but I don't. Deep frying fish in a confined space, shared space, 1 room for 7 people, that should be a crime. I feel like that is a crime. Maybe it's a don't knock it till you try it, but I don't think that looks worth the smell and the fried air that I'm gonna have to inhale for the next 2 days. It doesn't look worth it. Now, I'll tell you what, I make the best mashed potatoes this side of the Mississippi, but they're on the other side of the Mississippi, and these look good. These look like some good mashed potatoes. I'll give them that. But also, mashed potatoes are not stinky.
This wasn't some rare chaotic day. It was their daily life. The smell of grease from whatever was frying mixed with stale air, laundry odors, and the unmistakable scent of diapers. Babies crawled dangerously close to electrical outlets, while a playpen sat nearly flush against the microwave. Dirty dishes towered in one corner, laundry bags overflowed onto the floor, and the constant noise created a kind of white noise chaos. Cartoons blasting from the TV, a baby crying, a toddler refusing to nap, another one screaming. That single room wasn't just overcrowded, it had become their entire universe. Eating, sleeping, parenting, arguing, surviving, all crammed into one space. And this wasn't just a temporary fix gone wrong. This was their way of life, because Stephanie decided to convince herself, and everyone else, that it was all part of some loose, undefined plan. But there was no real structure here, no budgeting, no realistic end goal. It was survival dressed up as strategy. Meanwhile, she stayed online, polishing the story, trying to manage her image instead of her situation. There was no long-term vision, just a loop of excuses. Deny the problem, delay the solution, distract the audience. That's not responsible parenting. That's self-deception dressed up as sacrifice. Then, just as people started asking questions, came a sudden change in the story. Now it was about the kids' emotional development. Stephanie claimed they'd recently started noticing how their older children, now approaching their preteen years, needed more space and independence. She said her daughter deserved her own area to grow and feel safe. And for a second, it almost felt like progress. Some people genuinely thought she might finally be listening, finally realizing what people had been pointing out for months. But that moment didn't last. Right after acknowledging her daughter's needs, Stephanie tacked on the real motive. She and Drew needed private mom and dad time. And just like that, the focus shifted. It wasn't just about the kids needing privacy, it was about them wanting to be alone again. Let's not forget, when they did have an apartment, Stephanie and Drew kept the only bedroom and the only bed for themselves. The children were left to sleep in corners, on the living room floor near the kitchen, wherever there was space. That setup didn't serve the kids then, and it won't now. It's the same routine playing out in a different setting. She says it's about the kids, but somehow it always leads right back to her and Drew. First, it's their emotional needs, then their private time, then their excuses. And just when you thought it couldn't get more bizarre, Stephanie dropped one of the most revealing claims she's made so far.
W's in the chat for Arletha going to court with Desiree against the Resilient Jenkins so she can get Deshaun back. If y'all haven't been paying attention to the Resilient Jenkins, baby, y'all need to tap in, okay? The Resilient Jenkins are a hot mess. They are the family of 7 that was living in the 1-bedroom apartment that ended up getting evicted because they did not pay their bills, and now they're living in the hotel. They ended up getting put out of the hotel because they had too many people in the hotel. Now they're in an extended stay hotel, but they have to leave the extended stay hotel every 28 days. I think that's a lie, but who knows? So they went to court because Drew has been alienating Desiree, which is Desmond's mom, from him. She hasn't seen her son in 3 years. He told us, and Stephanie told it, well, he didn't tell us. Well, he said it on live. Stephanie and him talked about on live that she hasn't been in her son's life because she was struggling with rug addiction and she was going through rehab. Come to find out that was a lie. She's been clean for years. She actually has an apartment with a room that Deshaun can live in. So you mean to tell me that Drew is alienating his mother from him with no apparent cause of danger, neglect, or abuse so that he can get food stamps and welfare for him? And Section 8 through the homeless program that he got kicked out of? This gets worse and worse every day. I hope the courts give Deshaun back to his mama so he can live in the house, in the room, and not be homeless with these people. Okay, I'm trying to be nice, but I'm mad. Thank you for Arletha stepping up for Desiree and helping her get her son back. No healthy, loving mom should be away from their kids. Key words: healthy, loving mom.
While explaining why their oldest son, Deshaun, supposedly needed more space, Stephanie casually slipped in a line that immediately set off alarms. She said, "Don's only brother is Atlas," referring to their toddler. But let's be real, that's just not true. Drew has another son, a child who lives elsewhere, a child he doesn't claim, doesn't visit, doesn't mention, and Stephanie, she absolutely knows that boy exists. Yet time and again, she erases him. She speaks like he's invisible, like he was never born. And this isn't some internet rumor, it's fact. Everyone knows about Drew's other son. Viewers know, commenters know, court records confirm it. It's not hearsay, it's documented. So why pretend otherwise? Why act like Atlas is Deshaun's only sibling when the truth is already public? This isn't a minor oversight. It's intentional. It's manipulative. And honestly, it's disturbing. When someone goes out of their way to erase a real child from the story just because it doesn't fit the version of reality they want to share online, that's not a slip-up. That's a red flag. And with Stephanie, we've seen this behavior before. She deletes anything that doesn't make her or Drew look good. She dodges questions. She changes the story. She's done it with their eviction. She's done it with their motel living situation. She's done it with Drew's court problems. And now she's doing it with his other child. This isn't just about image control anymore. It's gaslighting. Full-blown, aggressive rewriting of reality broadcasted in front of thousands like it's normal. And when people call it out, Stephanie's go-to response? Blame the public. She says online strangers don't know what's best for her kids, that outside opinions don't matter, that no one else is allowed to judge. But here's the problem. When hundreds of different people, viewers, supporters, former fans, are all pointing out the same red flags, it's not trolling, it's truth. People have been saying it for months. Your kids need space. They need cleanliness. They need quiet. They need structure. They need to feel safe. And now suddenly, Stephanie is parroting those same points. Not because she's finally listening, but because she has to. With court proceedings underway and Desiree documenting every move, Stephanie isn't changing her habits. She's just changing her script. It's not about growth. It's about optics. Now, in her latest announcement, she says they've been actively searching for a place with 3 to 4 bedrooms and at least 1.5 bathrooms. Not just thinking about it, but seriously looking. She says they're being extra cautious because of their eviction record and the bankruptcy that's now attached to their name. It's a new plan, presented as thoughtful and stable. But given everything we've seen, it's hard not to question the timing, the motive, and whether any of it is actually real.
Stephanie says that she knows her rights, even though there is a court order stating that she is not to be posting Deshaun or talking about Deshaun. She said in her words that she knows damn well what her rights are. Your rights do not matter when there is a court order. I think that what she's really mad at is the fact that Drew and Desiree are going to have to communicate because of Deshaun. The whole reason why Deshaun is not with his mom now is because Drew had to communicate with Desiree because of Deshaun. Stephanie hates the fact that she's a third baby mom. She hates the fact that he even has other baby moms. And he's such a good dad, but takes care of whichever kid he feels like taking care of with whichever woman that he's with that day, that year, whatever the fuck. Apparently, Stephanie handles everything with like Deshaun's schooling, and she told him that he is not allowed to go on field trips, and they also took him out of school early. What I want to know is, why is Stephanie so persistent on coming in between this boy and his mother? Why are you so persistent on causing issues between a boy and his mother? Let me know what you guys think in the comments.
Stephanie tried to downplay the serious issues holding them back from stable housing. She framed them as minor logistical bumps, not the red flags they actually are. Red flags that have kept them from qualifying for decent housing for months. She said they're trying to stay within budget while saving for something bigger. A permanent home, a stable, long-term place to raise their kids. On the surface, that sounds reasonable, even responsible. But here's where things start to fall apart. Just a few weeks ago on video, Stephanie made it very clear that apartments weren't even an option. She didn't hedge. She said point blank that they weren't going to settle for something temporary. The goal, according to her, was a real house, one with outdoor space, room to breathe, and a proper setup for the kids. She said she'd rather wait it out in the motel, no matter how long it took, because rushing into a quick fix wasn't worth it. And now, that whole plan has been rewritten. Suddenly, apartments are the goal. Suddenly, it's all about better school zones, safer areas, and family comfort. The story has flipped completely. What she dismissed just weeks ago is now being sold as progress. Let's be honest. This isn't growth. It's not some new revelation about what's best for her kids. This is a pivot under pressure. It's happening because of court involvement, CPS concerns, and growing public criticism. It's not about comfort, it's about appearances. It's about making it look like she's making responsible choices when, in reality, she's been backed into a corner. Need proof? Let's go back to the motel, not the filtered, sugar-coated version she shows online, the real one. Stephanie deep-fried catfish in that same tiny motel room where her kids eat, sleep, and play. No ventilation, no divider, just hot grease in the same space where a baby is crawling and toddlers are trying to nap. The smell doesn't just go away, it clings to blankets, baby clothes, stuffed animals, pillows. It soaks into the air, the curtains, the mattresses, and all of it is circulating through one tiny motel AC unit, meant to serve a room that's crammed with 7 people. That's not just uncomfortable, it's unsafe. And Stephanie didn't just do this. She normalized it. She filmed it, posted it, treated it like it was fine. That's not a mom doing her best. That's someone trying to control the story while ignoring the reality her kids are living in.
The fact that Stephanie from the Resilient Jenkins is worried about what people think about her slides, and now she's saying that, yeah, she might need smaller slides, but isn't worried about a bigger house for their family. Well, that is until the judge probably said something like this to Drew in his most recent court hearing for Deshaun, who is now going to be seeing his mother. Praise God. If you aren't caught up, Stephanie is breaking pretty much everything that the judge said. She's still showcasing Deshaun, and she's not supposed to be, and it's a whole thing. But where is Stephanie's mind at? Doesn't matter what the court is saying. She's worried about people making comments about her slides. You know, the notorious 13,000 sizes too big slides. This was her most recent comment on Facebook. Why does it bother so many that I don't like closed-toed shoes? I do not like the feeling. I much prefer slides. But I do admit I need to size down on my slides. You don't say.
Let's be clear. This wasn't some isolated moment of struggle. This has been their everyday reality. This is their lifestyle. In that same cramped motel room, laundry bags pile up, some clean, some not. Dirty dishes sit out on every surface, sometimes for hours, sometimes for days. The kids do their homework inches away from where baby bottles are being mixed and left out. There's no fridge space, no counters, just chaos packed into one suffocating room. At night, the cries of babies echo through the space. There's no quiet, no break, no place for the other kids to decompress or even sleep properly. This isn't a home. It's not just temporary discomfort they're pushing through. It's a hazard, a health hazard, a mental and developmental hazard. And Stephanie has had months to change this, to find something safer, to do better. But she didn't. She chose this. She defended this. Over and over, she justified it to her audience. Because for a while, it worked for her. It worked for you, the viewer. But now that the courts, CPS, and the public are watching, suddenly she wants out. Not because it's finally clicked that this isn't healthy, but because it's no longer working in her favor. If there's one thing Stephanie has consistently done, it's flip the script the moment things start looking bad. First, she claimed the motel stay was part of a bigger plan. They were saving up for something better. Then she said apartments weren't good enough. She told everyone her kids needed outdoor space, not just 4 walls. After that, she started romanticizing the idea of a tiny home, claiming a cozy setup could work for a family of 7, even though we all know there's no such thing as a cozy, tiny home that can realistically house that many people. Then she shifted again. Housing? Suddenly not urgent. The kids? Doing just fine. She said they could wait as long as it took. She even dismissed the importance of school, saying her kids were thriving in the chaos of a one-room motel. And now everything is an emergency. Suddenly, emotional needs are a priority. Suddenly, the kids do need space. Suddenly, school districts and stability matter. She's flipped the narrative yet again, as if this was the plan all along. But we've been here, we've watched it unfold. We've seen every contradiction, every excuse, every backpedal. Stephanie isn't changing because she's growing. She's changing because the pressure is closing in. From CPS, from the courts, and from all the people who are finally holding her accountable. Her story doesn't shift when her kids need something. It shifts when she needs to protect herself. And that brings us to the heart of it, the real reason behind this sudden change in priorities.
I believe this time very much so. It's about Stephanie and Drew Jenkins from the Resilient Jenkins. She is setting up to bolt with those kids so that they can try to control what they do with their kids because the court has stepped in. I believe it a million times over. They made a video like 2.5 weeks ago saying like they're going to save and save and save and they're not going to settle for anything less than perfect to move into. And now all of a sudden they got to move now. They know for a fact that eventually Deshaun will be taken from them and back with his mother. I can bet my life on it. It's going to happen. So they're going to do whatever they can to make sure that she does not get that custody with him. Or I don't think they want her to have any rights to him, let alone full custody of him.
Why is she suddenly acting like bedrooms, bathrooms, school zones, and emotional well-being are top priorities when just weeks ago she insisted that a one-room motel was good enough? It's simple. Drew has a custody case coming up, and the judge laid it out plain. If Drew wants a real shot at keeping custody of his son, he needs to prove he can offer stable housing. Not a motel, not a Band-Aid, a permanent, safe, livable environment. And Stephanie knows that, She knows Desire has that, an actual home with space, structure, and routine. She knows Desire can give the court what they're looking for in a safe, stable setup. And that scares her, because up until now, Stephanie has controlled the narrative. On social media, she could block critics, spin her story, and paint herself as misunderstood. But court isn't TikTok. Judges don't care about curated vibes or carefully clipped videos. They care about reality, about living conditions, consistency, and effort. Now, she's panicking. Suddenly, school districts matter. Suddenly, she's entertaining the same housing ideas she previously mocked. But this isn't a shift in her values as a mother. This is a rebrand. She's trying to keep up appearances, trying to compete with Desire's image, hoping that Drew doesn't lose custody. Comfort didn't matter before. It matters now because she thinks it might help her case. This isn't motherhood, it's marketing. And let's not forget her history. When Desire first tried to re-establish contact, Stephanie and Drew packed up and disappeared, changed addresses, went silent. And now that they've been served again, the fear is back. So ask yourself, is this move really about comfort or about cutting ties? Is she planning another escape? Will she disappear with dish on to avoid facing what's coming? Because sure, Stephanie can smile for the camera, light candles, play soft music, and say all the right things. But her actions over the past few months tell a different story. The kids haven't come first. They've been background characters in the drama of her love life. Now that court is involved, she's trying to clean things up. But the timeline doesn't lie. This isn't growth. It's damage control.
I just wanted to address this because I keep seeing comments, and someone made a video about it this morning. But apparently Desiree didn't try hard enough, so she doesn't deserve to be a mom. And Drew somehow Father of the Year. I don't think y'all understand how hard she really did try for her son, and it's working in her favor because of all the hard work she put into it. She did this the legal way, which apparently no one in the comment section would do because everybody was just talking about snatching their baby up from school. And if you do that, well, then he can just snatch the baby back, and then she did this so that Drew can't just take him away from her. She also wasn't loud about it. She wasn't posting her every move on social media, which is super smart, believe it or not, to not tell everybody everything that you're doing. And Mr. Father of the Year over there, who is currently facing losing custody of his child, is doing everything in his power to make sure that he loses custody. Not going to mediation, not answering phone calls, not replying to text messages. Every single thing. He's letting his girlfriend run her mouth online at the sake of where his child's going to be. If I were in his shoes and I had a girlfriend who couldn't keep her mouth shut and was going to cost me custody of my child, she would be gone so fast. Because no one's going to come between me and my kids.
So, now it's your turn. What do you think? Is this finally about the kids getting what they need? Or is it just another performance dressed up as progress? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and click on one of the videos on screen for more deep dives like this one.